Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Page. I am your most humble and obedient servant, Page Ghost. I'm continuing my journey today on reading the Jawbreakers books from Richard C. Myers / your boy Zach / Splato Comics, however you want to put it. So far, my general consensus of the series has been that it's a lot of fun. It's sort of made me rethink how I read comic books. While admittedly the story can be a bit confusing, you feel like you're missing pieces, things of that nature. More specifically, I recommend the first one, Lost Souls, over God King. God King is very much a continuation of a story that was started in Lost Souls, although not necessarily that particular story. There was like 3 Jawbreaker stories in Lost Souls. The main one with the gorilla, and then 2 other stories that kind of start up the God King storyline, and then the second book, God King, continued that story. I felt like God King got a little too serious, whereas Lost Souls kind of has those serious moments and also has some more of the fun comic book stuff that you expect from his writing. Continuing that today, we have Jawbreakers Grand Bazaar. And I've got to say, my opinion up front, this might be my favorite Jawbreakers book. Not only that, I really think this is a great book. I think Grand Bazaar is a great place to start as far as your Jawbreakers collection. If you think you're going to enjoy Jawbreakers, you want to give it a shot. I think Jawbreakers Grand Bazaar is a great place to start. And I really feel like it hits that pocket of comic book action, really funny, and a mostly really cohesive story. You really get a good sense of what the story is, who the bad guy is, what's trying to be accomplished, that sort of thing. And so it's a good level of comic bookiness, while also there are some serious bits here and there, but it's not nearly to the level as God King is. And so I really think Grand Bazaar personally is the place where maybe Lost. So maybe one reason not to start with Grand Bazaar might be if you start with Grand Bazaar and then you try and read the others, you might be disappointed because they're not as good. Whereas you read Grand Bazaar and you're like, oh, this is great, I want to get more Jawbreakers. Then you go back to Lost Souls and God King, and there's just a little bit of different storytelling with those, particularly with God King is a little more serious. It kind of diversifies the pool a little bit. Kind of however you think you're going to take it. But I think if you just enjoy comic books in general, I think Grand Bazaar is a really great place to start. Much like his other books, Grand Bazaar here actually comes with multiple stories. So it has Grand Bazaar, it has Jawbreakers Sacred Blood, also a really cool read, and a little bit more on the serious side actually, but I feel like it's a little better executed. And then there's honestly there's the Nexus story. Honestly, I didn't read that because I got this for the Jawbreakers stories. I can't comment on whether or not it's good. It's got Mike Baron. He wrote Punisher and a few other good stories that I'm aware of. But I didn't get the graphic novel for Nexus, so I can't really comment on that. But what I can comment on is Grand Bazaar, and I definitely recommend it. So with the recommendation out of the way, kind of getting into spoiler territory here. So Grand Bazaar is actually confirmed. It was pitched as the origin story of the Jawbreakers. Actually, I'll read the little synopsis here on the back. So for Jawbreakers Grand Bazaar, the origin story of the Jawbreakers, literally what I said, and you follow, for the most part, like most of the stories, the main character is Silkworm. You kind of see where he's starting out at. He's helping out military members on missions. He's literally depicted bringing a damaged convoy back after I assume a mission, or maybe just a patrol during our conflict in the Middle East. the either the global war on terrorism or Iraqi freedom, ongoing freedom, whatever operation it was. People, our military members were just going out on patrols. In this opening with Silkworm, I think is literally bringing back a damaged convoy of patrolling military members, trying to get them back. And of course, he's the arrogant son of a bitch that we all know and love. He's cutting line at the barbershop, and he's taking the haircut lady with him because he can, and no one's gonna stop him because he's got super strength and he's the man, all that kind of stuff. The typical sort of male sort of stereotype / oh, we want to be that guy sort of thing. A bit more of an SOB than what you might have experienced from like the other Jawbreakers books, because he's on his own. He doesn't play well with others, so to speak, because he's been flying solo for a really long time. Really doesn't know how to work with a team, or if he does, he really doesn't stick with them too long. He's a merc, he's a mercenary, that sort of thing. And then Cuffs, he's looking for I'm pretty sure he's looking for like a military group, a platoon, I think, of soldiers or Marines that have gone missing. Cuffs is looking for them. He's contracted out as a mercenary to go find them. Devil Dog is there bringing in a bounty. And then Hell Priest, I'll leave that one for you to discover on your own. But he kind of shows up a little bit at the end to kind of throw a wrench in the plans for better. So that was a very interesting place. And then Sacred Blood, there is a little bit of confusion, but my understanding is that the main bad guy is trying to gain power through 2 sacrifices, and the Jawbreakers have to stop them before they gain that power. But easily Grand Bazaar is the standout here. The artwork's fantastic. The artwork in Sacred Blood is good too. I really like Aaron Elfeche. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, Aaron Elfeche. That man, his artwork. Like, please, if you're watching this, yo boy Zach, I'm probably not, but if you do ever see this video, please keep getting Aaron Alfeche on your work, because his artwork is phenomenal. It really helps sell your Jawbreakers team. But Grand Bazaar is the story of this. Grand Bazaar, for those of you that don't know, a bazaar is a sort of like a market, right? But the interesting thing about this particular market is that anything and everything is up for sale, and you can't just ask for something for free. Not even like directions. Everything has to be traded for. And the Jawbreakers don't know this when they show up, and so they kind of get into trouble because of their lack of knowledge of the place. And so it's very, very interesting to sort of see them navigate this place, how they will get out of it. They're very clever in how they sort of make it through certain things. I'm trying to not be too spoilery, but it does a good job of sort of establishing what the characters are capable of, also expanding on their powers here and there. So pretty interesting stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything that stood out that maybe the one thing that maybe, I mean, it's such a nitpick. I even hate to bring it up. So if you haven't read any of the Jawbreakers books yet, so Devil Dog is gay, and I mean, that's just a part of his character. It's not like they make a big deal out of it or anything. But your boy Zach does mention it twice within like 2 or 3 pages. I mean, it's a nitpick a little bit, and the contexts are very different. So, like, the first time he says it, it's really funny because he ends up killing off his bounty, and I'm pretty sure his bounty is Muslim, and so the fact he's mad that he didn't get a chance to tell his bounty that he was gay before he killed him off, because that would have obviously made him mad. So I feel like that was like a good funny way of sort of establishing in the comic part of Devil Dog's character, but then literally like a few pages later, a woman tries to seduce Devil Dog, and he's like, he ain't having it because he's gay, and he outright says it. It's really not like that big a deal, but like when you're rereading, it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Maybe that's what it is. So I think they're both meant to be funny, but one lands better than the other. That's probably what it is, and that's probably why that stands out to me. But I mean, besides that, like, the Hell Priest bit is also interesting. He ultimately ends up saving the day in an interesting way. How he saves the day is not fully explained. Again, it's sort of that scenario of you feel like there's a book or story before this, but as far as I'm aware, there isn't. And so you just kind of wonder, like, what am I missing here? But that's not like the end of the world or anything. Sacred Blood, I feel like, has a really good intro. It's basically, I mean, it sets up the villain first, but after setting up the villain, it basically opens up with, I say this with my very limited knowledge of the series, but it seems like it opens up with a kind of G.I. Joe-esque military operation, sort of a take out the bad guys scenario that we were signed up to fight, and it's just through the enemy's connections with the main bad guy of the story, and how the Jawbreakers just kind of stumble upon this larger issue. They're willing to deal with it and handle it, even though it's not really what they're there to handle. So I thought that was cool. That also makes them kind of redeemable, because the Jawbreakers aren't necessarily portrayed as heroes per se. They do need to get paid, right? They conduct operations. They're more of a military group. It's why I compare them more to G.I. Joe. With that being said, especially Sacred Blood, I would argue kind of shows that, like, there are times where, like, we're willing to go a little more beyond than what we're technically paid for and what the mission is, in particular circumstances. In this case, like, children were being slaughtered, and they discover this, and I think that's what kind of pushes them to kind of be like, let's do a little more here, let's help out a little more. Yeah, I'll just repeat, like I said, my recommendation. I think this is probably, I'm going to reread Jawbreakers forever, but I'm pretty sure this is a great entry point. This is great comic book action. It's really funny, and I would argue the story is most cohesive in Jawbreakers Grand Bazaar. You get another second story that's a little more serious, like God King, but still fits that pocket of comic book action, funny, and can also be a little bit of seriousness, and the story is very cohesive. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, definitely recommend picking up Jawbreakers Grand Bazaar. With all of that being said, I am your most humble and obedient servant, Page Ghost.